Okay, so this week we're going to talk about chapter 3, and it is the cycle of achievement. And this so far is one of my favorite chapters, and we're actually going to split it into 2 weeks. So this first week is just going to be part of chapter 3, and then I'm going to come back next Sunday and do the second half because I felt like there's just so much good content in here. I don't want us to get overwhelmed, and I don't want us to get so much information that we're like overload and we can't apply it. So this chapter is perfect timing. We're at the end of a month, at the beginning of a new month, and it's time to really evaluate where we came in January, our successes, our failures, and make a new plan for February. And it's the perfect chapter, and I'm so thankful it lined up with where we're at. So this chapter is about launching your cycle of achievement and how that plays into our business. So the first thing is this little graphic over here on the side. You're going to see this on all the slides, and we're going to talk about this and what it means. We're going to dissect it. And this is the leadership development process, and you can see it really doesn't end. It just keeps going. It's a cycle. And I love this quote. Leaders do the right things for the right reasons at the right times. You can do something at the right time, but it can be for the completely wrong reason, and that will come back to you. You can do something for the right reason at the completely wrong time, and that is going to affect your business as well. And so we need to understand that we have to go through this cycle all the time. It's not, hey, I went through it once, I reached my goal, I'm done. We're going to constantly go through it. It's going to evolve as we grow as a leader and as our team grows and our team needs change. So I love how it breaks it down, though. We need, as leaders, to grow in ability, understanding, experience, discernment, and wisdom. And I feel like those 5 things are things that you're never going to stop learning. The things I've learned in the past 2 years, in 2 more years are going to seem child's play. You're always going to be changing. You're always going to have new experiences and use discernment, have wisdom, understanding, and the ability with your own teams. So this little process, it starts with a vision, moves towards goal setting, towards the game planning, towards working, and then to seeking counsel, and then goes back again. So we're going to kind of dissect a little bit of this week, and we're going to start with vision. And I love that the Bible talks a lot about vision and how this verse in Proverbs, where there is no vision, the people perish. That is so true with our teams. We as leaders, if we don't have a vision for our teams, I kind of think about it as wandering in the desert for 40 years. You're not really going anywhere. You can be a great leader, but if you don't know where you're going, it's going to be very hard for your team to follow you. So, what does that look like? Well, everything begins here. Your goals, your dreams, everything in this business starts with vision. Vision is tomorrow's reality expressed as a reality today. So these things that you want to do in the future, you're acting them out as if they are happening. They are a reality. You're seeing them as a reality. It's not this, well, one day I would want to be an emerald. One day I'm going to go to Maui, or sorry, we're not going there anymore, to Kona. It's not a one-day thing anymore. It's a, I will be there. It's more of a reality, and there is a difference. Leaders have a desire to make something happen, to change the way things are, to create something that no one else has ever created before. Leaders tend to live their lives backwards, meaning they see that vision as a reality, so now they're going to make steps to get there. It's not this, well, we'll see what happens. I'll do what I can, and if it happens, it happens. If not, oh well, kind of thing. So leaders know what they're going for, and they help their teams get there. Now, you can be a leader, but you may not be effective. So here's where it kind of rubber meets the road. Effective leaders enable people to own the vision as if they had thought it up by themselves and clarify how the individual's gifts and abilities will contribute to making the vision a legacy. I can inspire my team and tell them, oh, I want you to be in Hawaii with me. But if they don't see that vision as something they can do, it's just a dream to them, or it's, that's nice that she wants to go, I don't know how to get there. And we're all different people. Kim and I complement each other very well as power partners because we're so different. There's a lot of things that I do, like the graphics and stuff, that she doesn't do. There's a lot of things that she does, like help edify me, really think of logistical plans that are so much better than I can do. And so it helps to find that power partner to clarify these gifts. We all have different gifts and abilities, but we all contribute something to our team. One doesn't always get what one wants, and one doesn't always get what one deserves, but one gets what one pictures. So think about that. Like, it's true. Sometimes we don't get what we want. Sometimes we don't get what we deserve. But most of the time, we get what we picture in our mind, that reality. That's why we talk so much about positive affirmations, because if you're constantly telling yourself you can't do it, I don't know anybody, I'm never going to reach 1,000 PV, you're probably not, no matter how much you want to or how much you deserve to get it. If you can't picture yourself doing it, if you can't picture yourself on that stage at convention, it's going to be really hard to achieve that. So the book gave this amazing illustration about Walt Disney and how when he designed the Anaheim theme park of Disneyland, the reason why Disneyland is so profitable, such an icon, and just such a staple around the world, not just in America, but anywhere you go, people know Mickey Mouse and all of that. It's because when he drew up these plans for Disney World, you can see they're not only detailed, but he had a vision. He would tell people, I know it's going to be great because I see it in my mind as if it's already done. So in his mind, Disneyland was already made, built, and created. He knew exactly what it was going to look like. He didn't have to tell somebody else and hope they got it right, but he had that vision. He had those pictures, and in his mind, it was already a reality 10 years ago. And so we have a lot to learn from him with our business. Is your vision a thing of now, or is it a thing of, well, one day I hope this happens? Once you have your vision, that's all great, but we need to move to the next step. Without having goals, your vision is just going to be a dream. Walt Disney not only had these great pictures and these great ideas, but he had goals to then make a plan to get it to work. And so when you're goal setting, it's very important to not only have a vision and be hungry for it, but the energy needs to be directed at something specific, which are our goals, which is why every month we ask at the beginning, what are your goals for this month? And it's important to have good goals. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to make appropriate goals. And so as we get towards February, which of course starts in a few hours, I want you to really think about your goals for the next month and assess them after we've gone through this meeting. So a goal is more than a dream. It's a dream being acted upon. It's a rank achievement. It's a customer growth, PV growth, getting out of your comfort zone growth. What is your dream that you are going to act upon this next month? There's always good things to be done, but there's only so many great things to be done. So I want you to think about that. There's a lot of good things we can do in this world and in this life, but I don't know about you, but I want to be doing great things. So in order to make good goals, they need to be specific, they need to be clear, and they need to be concise. A lot of times I encounter people who have very vague goals that are like, I want to be a diamond. And that's great, but it really has no specific timeline. So here's an example. I want to be a better parent versus I want to reach diamond by the end of 2016. To become a better parent is not a bad goal. It's just very vague and very broad. It has no timeline. It has no, how are you going to do this? By when are you, it's kind of just there. But the other, reach diamond by end of 2016, that kind of has a better timeline on it. It's very specific. It's not like, well, what do you think a good parent is versus what do I think a good parent is. There's one way to be a diamond ambassador. Your goals must be written down. I know a lot of you do this, and I know a lot of you need to do this. Having it written down in your head or on your phone is not written down, in my opinion. You need to have it written down somewhere where you can see it and be held accountable to it. I write mine down and I put it by our monthly calendar in the kitchen so that I see it all the time, and it reminds me of what I'm striving for. A written goal is hard to avoid, meaning you can't make excuses for why you're not doing it, and when life gets in the way, when it's not written down, it's easy to dismiss it. There's a saying that goals are etched in stone and plans are drawn in the sand. We're kind of going to explain that a little bit more, but your goals should be your big plans that are not going to change. Some of my goals are to be diamond by July 31st of 2016, to send 5 kids off to kids camp. So 3 of them are mine. I want to sponsor 2 other kids. Another goal of mine is to have Jason reach Emerald by the end of 2016. These are very specific goals. But the plans to get there, those can kind of change, and we'll talk about plans in the next section. Your goals must be measurable, meaning you have to have like a diamond, a rank, or a PV goal. I want to hit 1,000 PV every month. I want to talk to 5 people every month. I want to sign 1 ambassador. I want to grow my team by 5 people. I want to challenge X number of people to go silver next month. Those are measurable goals. They're not vague. They're very specific. Your goals must also be realistic, though, and this is where I think we have a lot of wishy-washy, because it's very easy to have these huge, lofty dreams, but they're not realistic. There's many times where I've talked to a brand new ambassador who their goal is to be Emerald in 3 months, and there is not a single ambassador, including Celeste Gwynn, who has gone Emerald in 3 months. Unless you have 1,500 friends just lying around waiting to join your team, I hate to burst your bubble, but it's not going to happen. And that's not to mean that they are not going to be Emerald someday. It's let's look at this and break it down to maybe let's try to go gold in 3 months, or silver versus Emerald, because what that does is it sets you up for failure when you don't reach that. Your goal should be hard enough that it makes you strive to get it, but not so far that you can't achieve it. So be careful when you make your goals. Ask yourself, is this going to push me? Can I really do this? If you consistently have 100 PV and that's it, setting a goal to have 1,000 PV next month might be too big of a jump. Why don't we go for 500 PV first and then stretch it? Okay, so baby steps. So like I said, if the goal is too far beyond your reach, you'll become exasperated, and your repeated failure, I've had so many people become inactive because they had too big of a goal and couldn't reach it. And rather than slow down and take baby steps, they checked out. So, and that is not to mean that you are settling for teeny tiny goals that are not going to push you. Your goals must be realistic enough that you believe them and energize you to do whatever it takes to achieve it. So make sure your goals are going to push you, though. Don't just have baby step goals. You wants to push you a little bit. Your goals must provide motivation. Are they going to motivate you? Are they going to motivate your team? Are they going to push you as a leader? If your goal is, I want to go silver next month, and you sign 3 people every month, that is not going to push you. If your goal is to have 1,000 PV next month and you already have 1,000 PV or more, that's not going to push you either. It's a great goal, and for somebody else, that might motivate them. So these need to be tailored to you and push you. Your goals must be in line with your priorities and values. This is important because it's very easy to become so focused on this business that you're giving up some of your priorities and your values to get there. And that's not what this business is about. This business is not about always sacrificing family time to get here. There is a balance. There is some small sacrifices, yes. For example, Sunday nights I sacrifice my time to do these calls. That's an understanding. I'm not doing these every second of the day. So you must have your priorities and your values in line with what your goals are. Your goals need to be prominent, meaning whether that means put them out where you can see them all the time, whether that is something that is inspiring to you. But I love this quote because it is so true. And sometimes it's hard to hear, but a goal forgotten is a goal missed. It's like the saying Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Place your goals where you can see them daily. Don't give up on them. Your goal is important to you. It's not somebody else's. Don't ask them, what do you think about this? Because it might not be important to them, but it is to you. You need to surround yourself with like-minded people who will push you on your goal. This comes into that power partners Kim and I talk about, because if you're talking to somebody who is kind of a Debbie Downer about your goals, they're not going to inspire you to push forward more. They're going to drag you down, and you're going to give up on your goal, and you're going to forget about it. And that's not what you want to do. You want to surround yourself with people who are going to encourage you, who are going to push you. And your goals must have a specific time period. Decide on what your goal is going to be, write it down, and commit to it for that time period. You can have daily goals, like I'm going to commit to post on Facebook once in the morning and once in the evening. If you're having trouble finding time for this, look into apps like Tiny Torch, Buffer, things that can post for you. All those Plexus 101 posts, I was not up at 6:30 in the morning posting those. The computer was posting them. So I don't want you to think I'm always on Facebook. I'm really not. You can have weekly goals. I want to meet 2 new people during this week. You could have monthly goals. I want to have X number of PV. I want to sponsor so many personal sponsors. I want my team to sponsor so many sponsors. I want to add so many silver ambassadors. And then a yearly goal. Where do you see yourself in 6 months, in a year? What rank do you see yourself at? What does that mean for you and your job? One of my personal goals when I started was my big goal was to bring my husband home. That was my yearly goal. It didn't happen that first year, but I kept it, and it happened that second year and in a few months into it. So if your goal doesn't happen, don't abandon it. Keep it up, because a lot of times it's your growing that you're doing. But make your time limit appropriate. Again, like we talked about with going Emerald in 3 months, not time appropriate. On the flip side, you don't want to be like, I want to be a Diamond Ambassador by the year 2025. I'm going to be like, oh gosh, too long. There is no reason it should take you guys a long time to do that. 9 years, that's a long time. No. But once it's decided, I want you to become laser focused, put the blinders on, and don't focus on distractions. There's going to be so many distractions that are going to come up that are going to try to take your time away from achieving your goal, and make a point to do them. If you have a point to do Zoom training calls with your team, write it in your calendar, block it out. Nothing will interfere with your time. When all is said and done, have more done than said. It's a very eye-opening quote, because we tend to talk a lot and not do a lot. And we got to kind of get that in check. So after you have your goals, it's time to plan. This is my favorite part because I'm a planner. Maybe it's the math teacher in me, but I like seeing my goals take shape as to how they're going to happen. For me, that's when I see the reality and it fires me up. So you have your goals in place, and now you should feel like that energy, like I am ready to do it. You should feel confident, and so now it's time to make a plan how to get there, because if you don't make a plan, it might not happen. So before you're able to reach your full potential, you need to make a game plan to reach your goals. A leader with a goal but no game plan is like an archer with a target and no arrows. You have the weapon to shoot at it, you have the end result, but you have nothing to bridge that gap. It's like that saying, a failure to plan is a plan to fail. Your game plan should provide you guidance, strategy, and provide the way to actually achieve this goal you're working towards. It's here that you need to think strategically and have a method of attack. Lay it out. If your goal is to be gold, senior gold, ruby, whatever, in February, how are you going to make that happen? And saying, I'm going to have my team help me is not a good strategy. So we talked about the vision. The vision is your why. The goal is the what. And the game plan is the how. How are you going to do this? So here's a little video. After I talk about this, I forgot about that. Game plans are set in stone. We talked about that. Goal setting is set in stone, and the plan is drawn in the sand. And the reason why is because the game plan can be changed. It's going to become the masterpiece, but not on its own. It needs to be fluid and adapt to changes. When you have life changes, when your team has changes, your plan is going to maybe need to change. Don't set it up at the beginning of the month and that's it, I'm done. And then, oops, it didn't happen. Sometimes we need to adapt our plan. There's many times Kim and I will strategically plan a contest and it's awesome, and halfway through the contest, it did not go at all how we planned. It's terrible. It didn't have the results we wanted. And so we have to come together and be like, okay, well, that didn't work. Let's look at what happened and change it up. Let's look at our plans and change them to reach the same goal. What could we do differently? Let me see if I can get it to, hold on. Let me see if I can get it to play. Sorry, guys. It played earlier. Okay. Play. Please play. Okay, I will post this in the camp page because it's not playing, but it's a really good video showing you about prioritization and how to really make your day and your month and your weeks fluid and really flow well. Now let me get back to where we were. Okay, sorry guys. Our last slide on game planning, because working and seeking counsel have a lot to talk about, so we're going to talk about those next week. Is a leader's quality of thinking will have much to do with that leader's success. So I want you to think about the success you've had this last month and think about your quality of thinking. Did it correlate or did it not? Brainstorm your ideas to get the good ones to the front. You're not all geniuses. I'm not a genius. We're not always going to come up with that amazing plan right away. There's sometimes where I'll talk to Kim and I'll have some ideas I think are great, and talking with her, it's like, you know, that really is not a very good idea. So when you're drawing up your game plan, think of it like dominoes. What are the major dominoes you need in place to knock the others down? Remember, we talked about making up that plan for the day, the week, the month, whatever it is. It should flow freely like dominoes. Once you realize the step towards the goal, all efforts now go towards completing those steps. So once you realize, okay, I want to go senior gold next month. I ended with X amount of points this month. Next month, I'm projected to have this many points. How do I bridge the gap? How many new ambassadors do I need to add? How many new ambassadors do my team need to add? Those are steps towards your goal. Okay, I ended with 500 PV. I want to have 1,000 PV. So how do I bridge the gap? Well, I'm going to talk to 2 new people a week. I'm going to find 3 new customers this next month. Things like that. Those are steps that are going to get you to your goal. So don't spend your time and energy on dominoes that don't go anywhere. This is so important because I am guilty of it too. I get sidetracked and I start pouring my time and energy into these things that aren't growing my business. They're not growing my teammates' business, and they're really just distractions in disguise. And so be cautious on those things. I put up a post earlier this month in my levels 1 through 3 page about watching so many videos. The training videos are great, but don't spend your time and energy on watching hours of videos when you're not going out and putting those into action, if that makes sense. It's great to learn from videos. I love that we have so many resources for us, But if we're not putting those tools into action, those are dominoes that are not going to go anywhere. And so as you're thinking about your goals for February, I want you to think about these things we talked about tonight, and just spend some time praying about what you're going to be doing next month, and spend some time really assessing your goals, and then I'm going to ask you guys to post them. I'm going to stop recording.